something there that happens.
Yeah. And the glow doesn't seem like it's that, because the first things you mentioned, maybe um, I, I kind of want to deal with how do we know we're not just giving someone a psychological experience where we're enabling them to relax, but there's something more happening. And you mentioned a glow, and it seems like a glow is something that's hard for a person uh, to reproduce. Like they don't have,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not made
I
with
mean,
inner light bulbs that we can flip a switch and begin to radiate.
right. No, and it's happening as we're asking the Holy Spirit to come and fill them.
Yeah.
So we know that there's something go. And sometimes, I'll feel the energy going down my arm through my fingertips. Okay. There's been times when maybe I'm not even touching, but I know that there's something going on with my fingertips, even if I'm not touching. And so, and there's just energy there.
Yeah.
That's the spirit.
Yeah. So we ask God to fill somebody up. They begin to feel things. Sometimes they radiate. We feel things flowing through us or flowing from them as the Lord is filling them up. And
Yep.
I don't want us to skip past that, because when we talk about people being filled, it sometimes it seems like we can make that it, we can boil it down to some very minimal things, like maybe relaxing, which is what you started off with, as opposed to having phenomenon, a direct
Mhm.
result of people having an encounter with being filled by God.
And the other part too is when we ask them to look at the face of Jesus, again, there's something that is a change that happens too. I mean, it's kind of like what I texted you the other day about, well, when they're looking at Jesus, you know, there's, they recognize that that he's looking at them. There's an exchange that's
Mm.
going on, and for whatever reasons, it's helping them to let go of their shame and their guilt because they're actually experience God's love. And for most of these issues, we need to experience more of God's love.
Hmm.
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that when that is happening, it's like again they can say, okay, Lord, forgive me for, you know,
Hmm.
whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. In AA groups, they talk about how some of the roots of addictive behavior, which are shame and guilt,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so as people are getting filled with God, then they're having their shame and their guilt released, and then the
right.
fuel of addiction begins to turn down to where
Yes,
it's not
yes.
quite as compulsive, but it's something that they have more ability to choose and get free.
And along with that, the craving for the substance or the craving for whatever activity that you want to get a high on, that
Hmm.
that dissipates. I've had clients that, are in process with that, where they're having to work at that, and it's not necessarily uh, taken away instantly. And yet there's
Yeah.
some people that the craving goes away,
Hmm.
completely.
There seems to be a hopeless problem of addiction in our world and in Longmont, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
And we feel we have the solution to this, a tangible filling of that hole, that
yeah.
that vacant spot that people are filling, trying to fill with something. And so, how do we go from we have a mass of people over here who are hopeless, and then we have uh, people who know Jesus on this side who have hope. And how do we bridge these two groups so that the people that need freedom can get it?
Maybe it's taking it outside the four walls of the church. And so
Yeah.
I guess that, I mean, and that's where I feel really called in a sense, not only in helping you in the church, but I have a marketplace ministry of taking it outside the four walls, and it's helping basically families.
Hmm. So your counseling is a means of, it's a bridge for people.
Yes,
Well, and you are the church in a sense. You're bringing the freeing power of the filling power of Jesus in a non-church setting, a counseling setting.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's good. It also makes me think of how important it is to train people, and how people who experience freedom who may invite their friends or family to do the same, which is not uncommon. And the more people
right,
we have trained to facilitate that, uh, basically just learning how to share Jesus in that way, that it
right,
can reproduce the snowball in that way too. And I love the thought of a church filled with people who can help others get free, as opposed to maybe what we might view as a traditional Western model of church, of just a consumer mentality. Just come and
right.
enjoy some good teaching or some good music.
But that's what I like about the vineyard model, is because we all get to practice and do it with each
Hmm.
other. And, which is so totally different from, my upbringing, where
Yeah,
you would come and sit and you would listen to a pastor teach and or
yeah,
preach, but you didn't have the experiential part of,
yeah,
praying for one another. Yeah,
yeah. John Wimber's big vision was giving the ministry back to the people.
yeah,
Everybody gets to play, and that a church should be a training center, so that people can learn how to receive and give the blessing of God in tangible ways.